There's a pandemic spreading across the world right now, but it's not a virus. It's a mental sickness. It's this disease that quietly keeps us from reaching our true potential. It's called mediocrity. So let's dive into this and figure out how to find the cure. So let me just ask you, straight up, are you just getting by? The philosopher Socrates said something incredible. He said, it's a profound shame for a person to grow old without ever seeing the physical and mental strength their body is truly capable of. Are you seeing yours, or are you just coasting? Because that's what mediocrity is, right? It's that just enough mindset. It's this massive psychological trap we've all kind of fallen into because we made comfort our God. We look for jobs that are just secure enough, workouts that are just easy enough, goals that are, just achievable enough. But this comfort, it's really just a cage. Now, what's really fascinating here is that this isn't entirely your fault. You're not lazy. You're actually a slave to your own biology. Your ancient brain, what we can call the frog brain, is designed for one thing and one thing only: survival. It screams danger at any kind of risk, and it whispers, just stay in bed when that alarm goes off. It's literally wired for comfort, not for conquering challenges. But here is the really good news. We are not doomed to be slaves to our biology. Not at all. Let's look at the hard science that actually proves we can fight back and literally build a stronger will. So a neuroscientist at Stanford, Dr. Andrew Huberman, discovered this part of the brain called the anterior mid-cingulate cortex. And what he found is absolutely fascinating, as you can see here. This area is physically smaller in people who are sedentary, and it's larger in athletes. So how does it grow? The only way it grows is by doing things you don't want to do. Every single time you force yourself to go to the gym or to take that cold shower, you are physically, literally growing your willpower muscle. And this modern neuroscience, it perfectly echoes what philosophers like Nietzsche were saying ages ago. Your true self, your potential, it isn't found wrapped in the velvet of comfort. It's forged in the fire of struggle. Now, to see what this looks like in the real world, really see it, let's look at one of the most extreme examples of human endurance ever recorded. This is the story of David Goggins. So basically, OM Goggins, who was a Navy SEAL, decided he was going to run a 100-mile ultramarathon, that is 160 kilometers. To make it crazier, he had no support crew and had done zero, and I mean zero, specific training for this kind of distance. He just started the race on nothing but pure, raw grit. And for the first 12 hours, he was absolutely crushing it. He somehow ran 70 miles. But then, his body slammed on the brakes. Hard. He collapsed into a chair just completely and utterly broken. And when I say broken, this is total system failure. His white socks were soaked bright red with blood from his mangled feet. He was urinating blood as his kidneys started to fail. His lungs were actually filling with fluid, and the bones in his feet felt like they were on the verge of just shattering. At this point, his own mind, that frog brain we were talking about, just started screaming at him. It told him he was stupid, that he was probably going to die. Every ounce of logic, every motivational quote he'd ever heard, every positive thought, it had all just evaporated. This is the moment where 99.9% of people would quit. Nobody would blame them. But then, in that dark silence, another voice came from somewhere deep inside. It wasn't logic, it wasn't motivation, it was just a raw, animalistic truth. He told himself who he was, and in that single sentence, everything changed. See, it wasn't a motivational speech, it was a fundamental identity shift. Goggins finished that race, and from that absolute crucible of suffering, he discovered something profound, a simple but incredibly powerful rule about human potential that applies to every single one of us. He called it the 40% rule. So what does this number mean? 40%. Here's the crucial point. When your mind is screaming at you to stop, when you feel totally and completely spent, you have only tapped into about 40% of what you are truly capable of. Your mind gives up long before your body does. There's a vast 60% reserve tank of potential that most of us never ever touch. Okay, so this is a powerful idea, right? But how do we actually apply it? How do we get access to that other 60%? Well, the answer isn't about finding more motivation. It's about changing something much, much deeper. Your identity. Goggins famously says, motivation is garbage. And why? It's like petrol. It's an external fuel that just burns out really fast. Real lasting change doesn't come from a temporary boost. It comes from changing the engine itself. It comes from changing who you fundamentally are. So how do you change your identity? You start with brutal honesty. Goggins developed a technique he calls the accountability mirror. He would literally stand in front of a mirror and tell himself the raw, ugly truth. You're fat, you're lazy, you're wasting your life. You have to stop telling yourself all the sweet little lies and just confront the reality of who you are right now. True self-love is demanding more from yourself. Okay, so here's a simple 3-step plan you can start today. First, stop playing it safe. If your goals don't scare you a little bit, they're probably not big enough. Second, the next time you want to quit anything, remember the 40% rule and just push for 5 more minutes. Just one more page. That tiny little push is what separates you from the crowd. And third, kill the victim mentality. Your past, your problems, they are yours. And guess what? So are the solutions. Ultimately, this all comes down to a really stark choice. And there was a chilling scientific experiment from back in the 1960s that lays out the stakes perfectly. It was called Universe 25. Scientists created a literal paradise for mice. Unlimited food, water, no predators. A perfect world. But instead of thriving, the mice became lazy, violent, and antisocial. They stopped caring for their young, and eventually the entire population just rotted from within and died out completely. The conclusion is inescapable, and frankly, it's terrifying. Comfort killed them. Science proved that without struggle, without a reason to strive for something, the spirit just withers and dies. Our modern world of Netflix, sofas, and endless convenience, you have to ask yourself, is this our own Universe 25? So let's end with this thought. One day on your deathbed, 2 people will stand before you. On the left is the person you became, and on the right is the person you could have become. If those 2 people are strangers, that will be the real hell. But if they look identical, if you squeezed every last drop of potential out of your life, well, that will be heaven. You can choose the slow death of comfort in Universe 25, or you can choose the vibrant, messy struggle of a life fully lived. The choice is, and always will be, yours.